Hello art world, and welcome back to my channel. Today I have an instructional video for you guys. I was working on a quick commission, a, a commission where I didn't make any money. So technically it's not a commission, but my nephew wanted a drawing of Sonic after we saw the Sonic movie, so I figured I'd do a quick little sketch in normal in the normal way that I do it, in normal fashion. I typically do these sketches on tan tone paper, and I try to get a little detailed with them and have some fun, but nothing super serious. This is just a fun drawing that I wanted to get out, like I said, for my nephew. And I ended up enjoying it. It was actually pretty cool. It reminded me of my childhood when I used to play Sonic when I was younger, and it was a lot of fun, actually. So yeah, let's get into the video. My technique is that I typically I go over, I pencil everything in, and then I go over it with a nice ink wash, a light ink wash, just to basically get down the underdrawing. Now, you don't need to do that. It can be considered almost like a bit of a waste of time, because I am doing this underdrawing before I begin. But I find value in it. I think that some might consider it a waste of time, but I find value in it. I think that having that light wash of exactly where you want to end up and where you want to begin, solving all those little problems in the beginning is really nice. So when I was younger and I would draw something, I would typically just start drawing. I didn't have a plan. I just knew I wanted to draw something. I never really thought too deeply about it, or the process, especially the process. I was just kind of drawing for drawing's sake. Like, I just like to draw, and I wanted to be able to express myself creatively. As I grew older, I found that there is value, obviously, in planning things to an extent. You always want to be able to leave room to improvise, because I think there's a bit of magic in the improvisation of your work when you're drawing, and it's too planned out, too rigid. I don't like that. Now, it doesn't mean it's valueless. I tend to stray away from that. I like when artists get themselves in a pickle, so to speak, and kind of just like work themselves out of it. I find their work is a lot more beautiful, and I like the improvisational aspect of some things. Like, I just like that. It's just a preference thing. So you don't need to do that. You can plan every brush stroke, but I like to leave a little bit of wiggle room where I can improvise and build upon my previous idea of what it was going to be. Because sometimes you'll overwork something, or see that like there's a flaw in the design, like as you're doing it, and you couldn't have foreseen that aspect of it. So like, it's good to leave that wiggle room for you to be able to change things. Like here, I drew him with his pinky out, so he's kind of doing like the Samoan, like I don't know what that's called, but he's doing that hand gesture of like cool. I ended up changing that. It started out as a fist and a simple thumbs up. Then I changed it to the that cool symbol that you do where you stick out your pinky and your thumb. I changed that, though. I eventually changed that back to just the thumbs up. I didn't like the way it looked, and it was already solidified with the ink wash at this point. So changing the anatomy, I would have had to have changed the other fingers, the way they lay. It was just a quick idea. I thought it would work, but it ended up being uh, more trouble than it was worth. So I just let that idea slide. And I wanted to finish this for my nephew quickly. So that's why I let that idea go. But you can build on these things. That's the beauty of having these nice light underwash um, outline drawings that you do beforehand, because it gives you a direction. It gives you the map of where you want to end up with your drawing, but it also gives you flexibility. It lets you change things, modify, and you know, pursue a different route if you'd like. So I'm using Copics, but I use, I think these are Prismacolor. Yeah, Prismacolor markers that I've had since probably 2012. That I've kept them in Ziploc bags. I keep my markers in Ziploc bags. They don't dry out as quickly. So I've had that marker for, honestly, I think it was before 2012. I think I've had that marker just like an incredible amount of time, and it never dried out. So Prismacolor, props, that I appreciate. Your the the way you make your markers, that's really incredible that I still have that and it's working fine. Those I haven't even kept in bags. I only keep the Copics because the Copics tend to dry out. Those Prismacolors, though, they have not dried out. So I'm still using it. It's just fine. I like them because they're very vibrant. I don't like them on their own. Maybe you've noticed I don't like to draw with a lot of a super amount of contrast at first, and I feel that those Prismacolors they're too rich in color for me. I like to have that wiggle room. Like I said, I like to be able to change things with my art if I see that I don't like the way it looks. I don't like to get trapped into and being forced to work on something that I don't like. So that's the main reason I like to have lighter looking washes of color before I solidify anything. I like to have that wiggle room, like I said, that aspect of I can modify or change what I'd like throughout the drawing. I drew this guy a little bit different. I didn't want to draw him Dr. Robotnik exactly like Dr. Robotnik. I wanted to make him look a little different, so I changed things a little bit. But yeah, if you're looking to get into using these Copic markers, it can be sort of expensive. I haven't bought new stuff in a very long time. I'm using old markers that I've had for a very long time. But I think a good technique, and what worked out for me, was to have two shades of the main colors. So, for example, his eyes. His eyes are green. Let me double check. I use YG61 and YG63. So that's yellow green Copic 61 and yellow green 63. I like to have two colors, one darker, one lighter, and that's basically all you need to start. Now, I would like to expand what I have and eventually, build a bigger a lot of markers and have more ability to shade and create depth and all of those things. But for now, I think it's good enough to have two colors, one light, one dark, and you want them within the same range. So, like I got 61, and then 63 is the next step up, the next darker tone. So yeah, I think that's a good way to kind of save some money and still be able to achieve a decent value system out of it. So yeah, just get two, of each of the colors that you find you'll be using the most. I got two. I actually ended up getting four red, pink colors because of the skin tone. I wanted to be able to capture skin tone really well, so I got I got three of those. So I got the R11, R20, and then R22. Yeah, R22. So now I have a decent range. And then I notice on this tan paper, when I use the E00, it ends up looking really skin-like. It has a very nice neutral color that when I add in either the R11, the R20, or the R22, or variations thereof, I can achieve a really nice skin tone. So keep that in mind if you are interested in achieving like the skin tone of his face there. That's simply just two colors, E00 and R11, and you can achieve that. Now you can do so much more, but I'm not going to get into that in this video. I'll save that for another one. I'll do a whole tutorial for skin tone, and I'll go over every aspect of what I know about that. So little subtle things you wanna get used to noticing as an artist. Like I wanted him to look like he was stopping here, so I drew his leg, if you notice, kind of sliding forward in his sneaker. Like he put so much force into that front sneaker that his leg slid forward a little bit and kind of made the front of his sneakers bulge. Like you can see that his leg is farther forward in the sock even. I wanted it to look like he was just coming to a dead stop from like him running super fast, and he's throwing the thumbs up and he's about to take off again. Like his back leg is cocked and ready to push him forward, so to speak. Cocked, so to speak, like almost kind of like a snake coiling. So you want to consider all of these things as you're planning your drawing. Now sometimes they happen just like that, like naturally. You'll find these little like happy mistakes, to reference Ross, but yeah, you'll notice that sometimes these things metastasize like that just naturally. But it's also nice to consider planning things like that into your next drawing if you haven't on the drawing that you're working on now. So after I Copic everything, and I have that nice light wash outlining that I use, it's nice to go back in and define those lines and kind of tidy things up. And I find a good way to do that is to just use my pencil. Use a sharp pencil and go back in and create your outlines. Now, you don't want to just simply leave your drawing like this afterward. I'll make a tutorial about, what I do to fix these drawings, but you want to use some sort of fixative on this because remember, it's pencil. You can smudge it. You can really mess up your drawing if you're not taking care of it properly. If you don't, and even if I've set these drawings down like this. When I get done with them, I've set them on top of one another and had issues where they've smudged and lost a bit of their luster. So it's good right after you get done to like fix your drawing with some sort of fixative. I use typically a matte, a clear fixative. So yeah, and I'll like I said, I'll make a video about that, detailing all of that. But yeah, so now I'm just going over outlining the outline with a little bit of an outer glow, so to speak, just kind of trying to create like that contrast. But we're at the end of the video. I appreciate it. If you can, subscribe to Smartful Creations on Instagram, and I'll be making more videos. But I hope everyone is staying safe during the outbreak, the pandemic, and good luck. We'll see you soon.